Like this video if you like this video. Cool. Hello everybody, my name is Kelsey and we're about to get very, very nerdy with the books I read in March. So this month I read a total of 6 books, which is amazing. My book count for reading has certainly gone up. That is exciting. Now, a good handful of these I did actually get on audiobooks, so that helped, but I read my audiobooks kind of differently, where I listen to them, but I also go through the book so I can kind of see where I am, and sometimes I listen to the book while I'm reading. It just kind of depends on the mood that I'm in. All of these books happen to be 4-star reads for me, so awesome month overall. But let's just get right into the books I read. So the first book that I read is A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle. This is one that I was trying to read in February because I wanted to read it before the movie came out, but I didn't get around to it until the first day of March. I'm pretty sure I finished this on the first day of March. Not too long, but it was definitely a good one. So I gave this one 4 stars, really? So I did give this one 4 stars, but now that I think about it, I think this is probably more of a 3.5 star than a 4 star. I liked that I read it before I watched the movie, but there were definitely parts that I was still very confused on. And it didn't grab me like I know it grabbed some other people, but it was enjoyable and I am very glad that I did end up reading it. So now I can officially knock this one off my bucket list and say I have officially read it. Oh god, this one's a chunker. The next book I read in the month of March is Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. It is the first in the Illuminae files. Now I picked this one up because I heard lots of people talk about it. It's not told like a normal book, it's told in the form of files, and I find books like that very, very fascinating. Books told in poetry format, books told in text format, email format, things like that I find super interesting. So that was really exciting for me. One of my favorite channels is Book Roast, and she loves this series, and I take her recommendations wholeheartedly. I am not a huge science fiction fan, not because I don't like it, just because a lot of stories that fall under the science fiction umbrella, I don't know, don't appeal to me, I guess. When I'm going through a bookstore, I usually just pick out books, read the back. If it sounds interesting, I get it, and 9 times out of 10 they're going to be fantasy and not science fiction. But I am very glad that I picked this up. This book is 600 pages long, so giant. I wasn't quite sure if I was going to make it through, but within the first like 20 pages or so, I read it sporadically, and then I don't know what it was, but there was something in here that got my attention, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I don't remember what it was, but I remember there being a specific entry that was like grabbed me, and the next thing I knew, I was about 200 pages into it. It had been like an hour, and I was like, okay, well, I'm probably going to finish this book relatively fast, and I did. I think it took me like a few days, which is amazing, and I get that it is file format, but it is so big that I was not expecting to read it that fast. But I did. This was a 4-star read for me. I very much enjoyed it. I'm currently reading Gemina, which is, I wanted to read it anyway, but it's a challenge for the OWL readathon. So if you want to see my TBR for that, I will leave that linked below. But I'm super excited because it's the same story. It takes place after this one ends, but it's a different set of characters. But I'm really excited to see where it goes from here. I was a fan of this book. I'm not even gonna try to put that back because it is too heavy. The third book that I read in the month of March is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. This one I didn't really mean to pick up. I do have the first and the second one in this series. I haven't bought the third one yet because I'm waiting for it to become a paperback, because I don't like having series where there's only one or a few of them are in paperback and some of the other ones are in hardback. You know, I want them all to look the same, and it drives me crazy when I don't. Anyway, I recently downloaded, why is my neck, do you see this? Why is it doing this? I recently downloaded the app Overdrive, which if you can connect it to your local library, gets you ebooks and audiobooks that you can borrow, and that's been amazing for me. So I saw this one and there was no waitlist, so I thought I'd try it out. It was one that I've been meaning to read and I've heard good things about it, so I thought, you know, why not? And this was amazing. I needed to know what was happening in her life. I mean, like, I don't know if you can see, but I've even tabbed some parts. It's a lovely story, and I've heard the third one is the best, and the second one I'm currently reading right now, but it's on hiatus, so I can do the OWL readathon. I want to do a series wrap when I actually finish all of them. It's been on my shelf for a while, so I figured it was about time I got around to it. I think it was a lot easier because the margins are so big on both sides, Plus there's like 70 something chapters because each chapter is like a couple pages long. So you can get through a couple chapters in one sitting if you have not a whole lot of time, or if you have a lot of time, you can finish the whole book in one sitting. I probably finished about half of this book in one sitting, to be honest. But definitely 4-star read. Yes, this one was good, and I'm glad I finally picked it up. The next book I read is The Kingmaker's Daughter by Philippa Gregory. I do have all of the books that Philippa Gregory has written about Tudor England and around that time period, because I love the time period so much that I need to read all of them. So there's that. But ironically, I've only read 2, this being the second one. Audible was doing those if you have an account. I think once a month they give you like a free credit. But they were doing a sale where basically every single book you could get was about half price. So I got a couple books. So this was one of them because it was super cheap. And it was one that I've been meaning to read for a while. So this is very, very good. There's just a lot that happens in this book. If for being so thin, I got through this pretty quickly. I will say it's not what I expected. There are definitely parts of it that I was like, that is not what I thought would be in this book. All right, but it was really good, and I don't know what else I can say because it's Tudor England. I love Tudor England, or right before Tudor England, and it's Philippa Gregory, and I really like Philippa Gregory's style. I've been meaning to read all of her books for a while, so I'm glad I could knock another one off of my list. And it was just, it was a good book. I was happy with it. Okay, so the next one I just find funny because it was on my longtime TBR video, and I think I read it like the week after because I got it from the library. I found the audiobook on the Overdrive app, and I needed something to listen to, and I thought I would give it a go. I didn't know how I was going to feel about it, and having a free audiobook probably helped. And that is The Book Thief by Marcus Suzak. Now, this one I did give 4 stars, but again, I'm thinking maybe 3.5 is better. I don't know if it was the fact that I was listening to it or instead of actually reading it, because there are certain things that I was very confused about until I opened the book and saw some of the things and went, oh, that makes a lot more sense now. But it is a very sad story. I mean, it's about the Holocaust. It's definitely a dark time period, and that's not a time period that I love a lot. I know a lot of people who have their time periods, and mine obviously is Tudor England or around that, but the Holocaust was never a time period that I was just like, yes, I must know all of the things about it. It was interesting, and it's definitely important for us to learn, and I think this was a very good book to be written. I did like that it was told from Death's point of view. I found that fact really, really interesting, and I loved the very, very end. I like the way he closed it, and I won't say too much about it, but the last few things that Death says at the very end, I loved the way that was written. Marcus Suzak has a very, I would say, gritty writing style. It's very, not gruesome, but cutthroat, to the point. There's not a lot of, I guess, poetic in the way he writes. It's very like, this is what happens, this is what it looks like, it's not great, but here it is. I am glad I read this, but it's definitely in that in-between kind of like, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. And I know that's a very unpopular opinion. I know a lot of people liked this book, but I had very, you know, middle ground. Like, I mean, it was good, and I'm glad I read it, and the ending, I mean, the ending did break me, but I was expecting that. Without the audiobook, I don't know when or if I would have ever gotten to this. So I'm glad, I am glad I did it that way. This might deserve a reread in the future. So technically the next / last book I actually finished in April, but I finished it on the 1st of April and the Owl Readathon didn't start until the 2nd. So I'm gonna count it in this haul, and that is The Accidental Empress by Alison How on earth do you say that? Pataki. Alison Pataki, I think. This is set in a portion of Austria. It's about an emperor who is supposed to marry the main character's older sister. However, he ends up falling in love with the main character, and it's about her journey to becoming the empress and just dealing with that. Now, this book I do want to do a full review on, but it reminds me, if you've ever seen The Duchess with Keira Knightley in it, it reminds me of that, but with a happy ending. That's the vibes I got from this. I definitely enjoyed this. It's based off of real events. There is a Q&A with the author in the back of this book, which I did read. It was very interesting to get into her mind because she did say, these are things that happened, but this is how I elaborated on this one thing. And so that was really interesting because a lot of this book did happen, but of course you have to fictionalize some scenarios and situations because you don't actually know what happened in that specific situation. But again, It had a monarch, and I love monarchs. It surprised me because I thought the whole book was going to be about him basically coming to terms with his love for her and choosing her over her sister, even though her sister didn't really want to be the Empress. She was kind of forced into it, but that only takes place in the first third of the book. The rest of it is their lives together, the children they have, the fact that his mother is so overbearing, and I have very strong feelings about her, and that's why I know this book was good, because I had such strong feelings of hatred towards, you know, the Emperor's mother, towards our main character, and I was like, listen, could you stop for like 5 seconds? But I know that because I had such strong feelings, it was towards a character, not the book, and that, I love that. I love when an author can make you have such strong feelings, even if it's like a hatred feeling towards a specific character. So, I'm super glad I read this. Another one that I've had on my shelf for a while that I can just tick right off, and technically an April read, but I'm gonna count it in this wrap-up because this is my wrap-up and I decided so. So that is it for this wrap-up. I think overall a pretty good reading month. I did a lot of audiobooks because during the week it's hard for me to actually read physical books, having to work at night, and just in general, weekends are where I get most of my reading in. What are some of the things that you guys read in the month of March? How are you guys doing? Are you guys doing okay? I want to know about you human beings out there that are awesome. Stay awesome. Why am I so weird? Anyway, let me know what you guys read in the month of March. Have you read any of the books that I've read? What do you think about them? Let me know down below. Give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you're not already, and join our awesome family that is continuing to grow, and I am so impressed, and you guys are amazing, and thank you for watching. Like, from the depths of my heart, from the bottoms of my toes, thank you. Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in a few days. Bye!